Hi guys, welcome back with the Chicago Pro 2024 complete lineup result of 18 contestants. Robin Stan was 3rd in his last show Vancouver Pro and 4th in Toronto Pro, and this time he has brought very similar package, but he was not even in the top 15 in Chicago Pro, which is really strange as judges had him higher than Tim Budesheim, Stanimal and Slavi Bednar in his last couple of shows. But in Chicago Pro, I think judges presumably really had different judging criteria as he could not even crack top 10 this time. Stefan Kinzel athlete Brady King was around 230 pounds on stage, but he was also out of top 15. Last year, Anthony Della Ventura was at 8th place in 212 division of New York Pro. This time he has made transition to the men's open division and he was out of top 15 as well. He also competed in the 40 plus masters class of Chicago Pro. Coach Milo's archive athlete Song Chul Lee had to settle for 15th place in the contest, which is so far his lowest placing. Although in back shots his glutes and hamstrings were not fully dialed in, but arguably overall his conditioning was impressive and he's still keeping the tremendous size at age 45, which is admirable. But seemingly this time he could not sway the judges. Justin McKee has been awarded with 14th place. He has made his return to the stage after 2 years, and in the comparison he looks slightly sharper than his last show. But I personally had Song Chul Lee at higher place than him. The oldest contestant in the lineup, 50 years old, Phil Klehar, has finished taking 11th place in the event. Before the show, many fans had him finishing in top 5. But arguably he looks flat and downsized this time, which most likely hindered him from moving up in Chicago Pro. But it's still highly impressive. He is still competing and even beating a lot younger contestants on a pro stage at 50 years of age. Czech athlete Slavi Bednar has managed to take 12th place out of 18 contestants. His conditioning was on point and he brought very balanced physique. He also competed and won Masters over 40 class of Chicago Pro. Felix Norman has made his pro debut and arrived at 11th place. He was very shredded, very clean and fresh look he had. His quads, hamstrings and glutes were very impressive, although he needs more density on his back, but it was an outstanding performance in his first pro show. He expected to be at higher place and he's not really happy with the results, so he's planning to bring an improved package in Tampa Pro in 2 weeks. From UK, Reese McDonald has brought a decent package with very flat midsection. He was weighing in at 248 pounds on stage. It was his 3rd consecutive show this year and this time he took 10th place. The Chinese giant killer Xiaoming Yan was in the first call out of top 8 contestants during prejudging, but in the finals he dropped down to the 9th place. He was around 240 pounds on stage with incredible round muscle bellies, huge arms and delts, and impressive legs development, and undeniably he was much sharper compared to Hassan Mustafa, but I think the sheer amount of mass on Hassan's frame did not let Xiaoming Yan beating him. Also, Xiaoming Yan is weak in back shots. Hassan Mustafa has brought a very similar package to his last show Toronto Pro. Maybe he's slightly sharper this time, but it was still not enough to be the front runner of the show. That being said, he had the potential to win the show, but he has hard time nailing his conditioning as his coach Dorian Hamilton explained that Hassan has been the most challenging athlete for him. Arguably he does not need more size, but he's very inconsistent nailing his conditioning. We saw him working with at least 4 different coaches so far, and AJ Sims was the most successful to understand his physique. But hopefully with Dorian he finds the right formula to nail his conditioning and finally qualify for the Mr. Olympia this year. The rising star all the way from Palestine, Sirhan has managed to beat the mass monster Hassan Mustafa with his very streamlined physique. Sirhan has very small, narrow midsection and his conditioning was on point. But I think he needs more thickness on back and little bit more size. Other than that, he's very impressive. Stanley Longjo has brought slightly a fuller package, but relatively his same trademark conditioning, which led him taking 6th place out of 18 contestants. He's very impressive from conditioning standpoint, very crisp and sharp, and according to him, he's at least 15 pounds heavier this year. I think his structure and lack of size hamper him to be a serious threat on stage, otherwise he always brings top-notch conditioning. Jordan Hutchinson was not even in the first call-out during the prejudging, and according to the scorecard, he was taking 9th place in the prejudging. Surely judges fully ignored him during prejudging, and later on in the finals they realized their mistake and brought him from 9th place to 5th place. Jordan has presented very exceptional package. He was very balanced, he has arguably impressive shape and symmetry, and his conditioning was on point as well, with striated glutes and very well built hamstrings. Nathan Epler has returned to the stage this year with added size. He was not the biggest contestant on stage, but he was one of the most aesthetically pleasing and extremely shredded. His physique flows very well, he has very beautiful shape and symmetry. His shoulders to waist ratio is amazing with very small and flat midsection. Overall, it was an outstanding package from Nathan, and taking 4th place is definitely a great result for him. Tim Budesheim was probably the biggest contestant on stage, very full and thick, and he's not missing his conditioning at all after competing back-to-back in 5 shows this year, and most likely he will be competing in Tampa Pro in 2 weeks as well. I think judges overlooked him in most of the shows this year, but since his last show Vancouver Pro, he's earning respectful places. He was in the final call-out of top 4 contestants, and he managed to beat structurally and aesthetically superior but size-wise a lot smaller contestant Nathan Epler by 5 points margin. Last year, Vlasto Khoroshko received much backlash from fans for not bringing the look on stage which he showcased on Instagram. But this time I think he has really delivered his best package on stage. And it was the hardest prep for him, as couple of months before he had a serious tricep injury which really slowed down his prep, but he still managed to bring his best version on stage under the guidance of his new coach Francisco Espin, which is a huge achievement. Vlad was undeniably much sharper and harder than the winner Mohamed Foda, and he was leading in the back shots. Foda's stand was not on point, his midsection was not fully under control, he had little distension there, and he's kind of narrow in back shots, especially his back lat spread is probably the weakest shot. Plus Vlad had clearly dominant lower half in back shots conditioning wise as well as size wise, and most likely because of these reasons many fans had Vlad winning the Chicago Pro. Whereas Mohamed Foda had better proportions, shape, structure, flow, symmetry and muscle density, which cannot be disregarded. He was not as conditioned as Vlad, but he was very thick and full, especially his side chest shot was highly impressive. But this is another show, I think it could have gone either way. So massive congratulations to Mohamed Foda for winning his first ever pro show and qualifying to the Mr. Olympia. As Big Rami's return in Olympia is uncertain, most likely he won't be competing in Olympia this year, but Foda is surely going to represent his country Egypt in almost 11 weeks on the biggest bodybuilding stage. So that's all guys, thanks for watching and stay tuned for all bodybuilding updates.